Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, it is I am the one and only Pac-Man here. Once again, I am back for the likes of the Maxi Toys videos. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of Wario Land 4 for the Game Boy Advance. So, last time we basically managed to accomplish everything for the sake of the forms of the Topaz Passage, which, in addition to trying to tackle for the forms of Doodle Woods and same applies to Domino Row, and also we took down the third boss in the game, which is Arrow Dent. So in all though, despite I did have some technical issues with that particular boss fight, with all that skills and what have you, I still managed to took down that boss just fine. So either way though, today for this video is the fact that we are moving on to the fourth passage, which appears to be the Sapphire Passage. And to begin with, let's get into the forms of the first level on this passage, which appears to be Crescent Moon Village. Now, out of all the actual passages throughout the whole game, I think to me that Sapphire Passage is probably my least favorite passage in the game. Nothing bad or anything, except for that one level coming up, which I'm sure that most people already know what I was trying to explain about this. But from now on though, we're going to be able to actually dive right into, you know, Crescent Moon Village. So, anyway, because as you probably already know is the fact that I'm pretty sure that unlike any forms of any other parts throughout the majority of Wario Land 4, originally I was expecting to try to do with the forms of 2 levels per video, but I've decided that I'm actually able to actually do something completely different for this part, along with the forms of the finale part, maybe at some point on this Thursday, the same time as in the 5th year anniversary of the Nintendo Switch release. So because of that though, yeah, I thought to myself when I was able to do this, just in case if we can able to actually get enough time to actually deal with even more Let's Plays in the future. So anyways, let's get this thing to it. Oh god, we actually come across into those spiky like, or this little, ghost that, every time when these coins laid around, then basically though, this particular Captain, Ghost thing decided to actually steal some, gold for you. So because of that though, yeah, you have to pick it up really fast, because otherwise if that ghost catches it before you, basically though is the fact that you won't be able to actually get your money back. So, and unfortunately though, I seem to actually get hit multiple times for that particular spiny like enemy, but regardless of such though, it's the fact that I can to actually just do this level just fine and well enough. So, at least despite the fact that there might be some backtracking moments here and there. So, yeah, you probably get the idea about that. So, yeah, today's day is, of course, the 1st of March today, in this case, in 2022 today. So, in addition about the fact that, like I said before, until when it gets to the point until on this Thursday, so the fact of the matter is, though, is the fact that in addition where the Nintendo Switch will be being released for about 5 years later at this point, or to be more specifically, the 5th year anniversary of the Nintendo Switch release, but also is the fact that until tomorrow, that perhaps even maybe whenever I come back onto Klonoa 2 Dream Champ Tournament tomorrow, that Mario Party 9 for the European countries is going to become a decade old until tomorrow. Gee, I can't even believe that game is going to be an entire decade old, despite most people found that game to be very overrated just because its gameplay style is a lot different. But it still does have some very cool minigames here and there. But aside from all that stuff though, the core gameplay is relatively disappointing. So even just trying to look back on it though, after 10 years of this release, and some people still find this to be one of the most black sheep of the series, next to Mario Party Advance and even Mario Party 10. So because of that though, yeah, there's not much else to compliment it with that stuff. So, oh, and by the way, thankfully that particular ghost pirate thingy right there, that thankfully it doesn't able to actually steal the diamond. He only steals just, you know, coins and some collectibles here and there. So because of that though, you have to act out a bit faster before when he decides to obtain it, because there's no way you can to obtain it if you deal with him. So, but there was that one particular element of this particular level coming up that we'll point it out whenever we get into it. So, anyway though, so a few things I want to explain about this also is the fact that, well, apparently though, out of nowhere, ever since during the course of the halfway point of last month, which appears to be February, out of nowhere, well, first of all, let's get into the forms of that particular the sad and disappointing news out of the way first, like I forgot to mention about ever since during the course of the past few videos ago, because obviously that ever since in the last week that I've already mentioned about the forms of the final results of the medal table, so I don't think we can able to mention about that for the sake of time, and especially noticeable that since the Beijing Winter Olympics is now finished, well, aside from the fact that we still got the Paralympic Games coming up. So either way though, as far as the actual standard Olympic Games for the Winter Olympic Games, as far as I'm concerned, basically that's already been over and done with, until they'll eventually move on to the next one, which appears to be takes place in 2026, which I think it's more accurately like an Italy country. So either way though, that might be some consumption. So anyway, so let's get to the actual bad news out of the way first before we get into the good stuff. First of all, about the fact of the matter is though, sadly though, I spoke too soon when it comes to likely I was expecting about the fact that originally I think I did say this before already from the likes of the forms of The Legend of Zelda A Link to the Past Let's Play. I did somehow say that I was hoping that the Nintendo does not shut down not only for the 3DS eShop stuff, but also the Wii U eShop stuff as well. Well, I spoke too soon on that, and turns out it was true all along. And because of that though, it's going to be closing the actual eShop service for both, not only for the Wii U, but also the 3DS eShop application. So because of that though, although those shops will not be closed until next March in 2023. Oh god, we're going for another shop closure, aren't we? Especially noticeable after dealing with the forms of the, you know, the Wii Shop channel closure back in the forms of in 2019. But now until likely 4 years later, we're now able to actually come across into not only the Wii U eShop application, but also the 3DS eShop application shops are about to be closing soon. So because of that though, yeah, I was not really expecting to see that usually happening. Although, to be fair though, for Nintendo's sake, is the fact that they just want to focusing on Nintendo Switch for more support of Nintendo Switch as far as this is concerned with. And basically though, is the fact that in addition that usually, I did manage to able to look upon certain infos about the forms of that specific description. Although I'll get some more details about that in a second, because as you can tell, that we've almost nearly at the end of this level. Well, usually I need to able to be very careful of those, you know, spiny-like enemies, so just in case I don't able to lose some of my coins. And before we activated the frog timer, we need to able to get the blue diamond, so just in case we can able to get even more money, so that way we can able to get ourselves our glorious golden crown and activate the frog timer immediately. And to get up there, we need able to, well, transform into that another familiar transformation for those who ever played you know, Wario Land 3 before. That's what appears to be Vampire Wario. Although I'll get to more in a second, because every time when a ghost sees you able to actually taking care of that key fellow right here, basically though is the fact that he really wants to chase it, and then every time he obtains it, basically though he decides able to take it away from you. So because of that though, you have to take it back until you're able to actually progress. So that's something to keep in mind for the sake of the forms that ending levels mechanic and stuff like that, because yeah, every time when he steals him, then you have to snatch it back. So, and then obviously he'll still chase you around if you manage to able to actually just to snag that particular key, like ghost-like creature. I don't know why you exactly call it that, but anyway, we're still missing a CD, but I'm pretty sure it's gonna be likely on the next part or something like that. Wow, mind you, is the fact that it's been about I would say 5 days ago since I actually last played this. Oh jeez. Okay, whatever, we'll just gonna have to stack it back, and then just do a bit of a rolling syndrome thingy right here, to able to actually bust out these series of blocks, but also just able to actually lead us to the CD. And I think this will actually be the last passage in the game to able to actually feature the CD on certain chests, because as far as I'm aware, we've only got about 4 CDs left, until we're basically able to actually collect it every single music throughout the game has to offer, which I think I'll show this off until specifically on this first day, so I can show you guys briefly about this. Although, mind you though, I don't suppose there won't be any extra videos by this point, just like the forms of how it does it on any other Wario Land games, I'm pretty sure. But that's how it is for me. So, anyways, let's do a bit of a dash going on right here, so we can able to actually just make this process a bit faster, and then just go off the ladders, and then as soon as you make it to this point, then you should able to leave the level like so. So we'll just get into that little portal vortex, and well, that was it for Crescent Moon Village. I will have to admit though, that level's pretty cool though, especially that for the actual Sapphire Passage itself, in terms of the actual level themes, they are basically entirely related to horror. So because of that though, because obviously we're exploring around the ghostly-like village, and then the next level afterwards though, and I think there's also another level is going to be at the very end of this passage, just before the boss fight, that basically though is the fact that it'll get like a spooky vibe to it. So anyways, let's go and move on to the next level in this passage, which appears to be Arabian Night. Arabian Night. Okay, I gotta stop right now. I have no idea why I just almost sang to that song from the likes of Aladdin. But either way though, let's get this thing to it. So yeah, the main emphasis on this level is the fact that, as you can see, we're actually going to be occasionally trying to able to catch a ride on the magic carpet. And because of that though, in order to progress is the fact that you have to able to not only control yourself, but also you're going to have to able to take control of the forms of, depending on what directions you're going, from the magic carpet, but also you have to jump occasionally until you're able to get up. So sometimes this gimmick can be felt a bit slightly gimmicky, but regardless of everything else though, as soon as you're able to get the hang of it though, it might not be so bad. So anyways, I just realized I've recognized those enemies, those flying-like enemies as you saw. Although, to be fair though, it does almost reminds me of that one time whenever I managed to play Super Smash Flash for the Flash computers, that basically one of those enemies in particular heavily borrows from this game, from the likes of the forms of Wario Land 4, and they managed able to reappear them from the likes of Super Smash Flash. That, have you ever played that game before? I surely do remember it, despite every now and then looking back on it now, that it feels a bit, I don't know, kind of feels a bit unfinished in certain scenarios, especially noticeable. There might be a few questionable decisions where it comes to where it comes to physics and controls, and even especially noticeable about the fact that, well, some damage outputs is a bit too much for the first game, which thankfully the second game has been fixed. So as a result though, I've honestly have no words able to comment it on, so but yeah, I digress. So either way though, let's go ahead and transform into our zombie Wario, so just in case we can able to actually just well, go through floors and everything. Oh yeah, that's another familiar transformation, although I'm pretty sure that have we come across that transformation before? Although I'm pretty sure we haven't yet. So either way though, yeah, the zombie Wario do makes a return ever since and during the course of Wario Land 2 and Wario Land 3. That basically, just like in those two games, you can able to actually just once again just manage to maneuver zombie Wario, and every time you jump, especially noticeable if you go into certain platforms like these, basically though is the fact that you can able to actually just go through for those platforms, and then that way you can able to actually access to certain areas. However, in order able to transform back to your normal self is by contacting with the forms of the beam of light, or the light rather, or just simply just go into that, or let's say like a hot tub or something like that, or water to be more precise. So yeah, it seems kind of weird, but at least that's something, I suppose. So anyway though, so let's get into the forms of a continuation of that discussion about the forms of the unfortunate news for the sake of the 3DS and the Wii U owners until 2023. This meaning about the fact that you can no longer purchasing stuff from the likes of the eShop applications for the 3DS and the Wii U, because I understand about the fact that Nintendo just, you know, no longer continue supporting for the likes of the Wii U and 3DS every now and then. So even then, it kind of feels a bit sucky if you ask me, when it comes to likely like The biggest highlight for me, though, when it comes to both not only the Wii, but also the 3DS and the Wii U as well, is the fact that you can have the ability to able to download certain virtual console games, even especially noticeable in some of those download software exclusive from the likes of certain systems. Like, usually because just to try out some retro games and stuff like that. Well, despite the fact that the Switch technically does manage to have retro games, but it's been locked behind, you know, the Switch Online membership services. So because of that, though, until in 2023, that, I think it usually says, like, late March 2023. Seriously, why is it always March? Like, I know for the fact that it kind of does the same thing. From the likes of the majority of the 35th anniversary of the Mario stuff, ranging from Super Mario Bros. 35 and also Super Mario 3D All-Stars, the digital version, and the physical forms. Although, speaking of the physical forms, what I've discovered on certain online shopping industry, that's whenever I double check on that physical version of Super Mario 3D All-Stars recently on the Switch, turns out it is still currently available from brand new sealed copy out there from Amazon, strangely. But I do know for the fact that in the actual UK Nintendo store shop, just seems able to actually still say, like, out of stock and stuff like that. So it makes it pretty obvious because of its stupid limited release. So, but I digress. And I suppose that's pretty much as far as I can say about that specific topic. Although, what I've noticed also is the fact that they're also going to be able to actually just to realize that, luckily, if you do manage to able to download some stuff before the actual shop closure, at the very least you can able to still re-download certain stuff before that, or maybe after that, I have no idea. And also, on the upside is, though, is the fact that you can still able to play online from the likes of the 3DS and the Wii U systems respectively, so at least you got that. So that way you can able to actually still play Super Smash Bros. For the Nintendo 3DS and the Wii U online matches, and same applies to the original Mario Kart 8 game, and Splatoon 1, and all the other jazz. But usually, relatively speaking, it's just the fact that the eShop is about to close at some point soon in 2023 for next year, which is still kind of sucks and still pretty sad at the same time, because usually the uniquest part about the forms of the Wii U Virtual Console games is the fact that they obviously include Game Boy Advance games, and especially noticeable with Nintendo DS stuff, and especially noticeable with a Donkey Kong 64 gets its re-release on its Virtual Console port, so at least at the very least that's actually pretty awesome stuff on the Wii U. At least I'll give the Wii U some credit for that. The Virtual Console stuff is pretty solid, so because of that though, I just have no idea why that Nintendo decides to do this, but either way though, it knows what it is, and also that until when that shop is about to get itself its massive closure, until next year in 2023, like I said, this also means you won't be able to actually access to other games even though as well. Stuff like Mario and Donkey Kong Minis on the Move, and as well as these 4 sub-games for Kirby, ranging from Kirby's Fighters Deluxe, or Kirby Fighters Deluxe, and DDD Drum Dash Deluxe, and well, let's just say Kirby Team Clash Deluxe, and Kirby's Blowout Blast. So because of that though, it's so stingy, I'm telling you. It is way too stingier. And also you won't be able to actually access to those Street Pass DLC stuff here and there as well. And hell, even with the forms of the DLC stuff from Super Smash Bros. For the 3DS and for the Wii U, for its DLC content from certain stages and certain characters, and even costumes as well. And also, with the forms of New Super Mario Bros. 2 Coin Rush DLC pack here and there as well. So because of that though, yeah, it's definitely not going to be that good until later on though, because, well, I just felt so incredibly embarrassed to see how that's happening. Especially noticeable about the fact that, well, I totally get it because it's ending support, because obviously the Switch is still continuing, but aside from all that stuff though, I just felt so sad when it comes to likely most people never owned, not only for the 3DS, but also the Wii U stuff as well. So yeah, that seems very unfortunate, so. And as far as I've seen the actual description for it, when it comes to likely other infos they put up, is the fact that I'm pretty sure that they obviously managed able to not only just decided able to actually just to closure the eShop stuff here and there as well, but also for the 3DS standpoint is the fact that it'll make things impossible to able to get some purchases, like I said, with the DLC for Street Pass, Me Plaza, for its DLC content, as well as Nintendo Badge Arcade, and even especially noticeable with the theme shop as well. So yeah, why does the Nintendo Switch still hasn't got its theme shop yet? Because seriously, we need that specific option, because otherwise then we pretty much still stuck with the forms of the white and black background theme on the home menu still. But even though that's just a part of its nitpicking side of things. So, and as far as I'm aware, very similar to the forms of how it does it on the DSi shop back in 2016 and 17 and stuff like that. But oh yeah, I do apologize for that background noise you'd be hearing, because I'm pretty sure I've accidentally left my phone on. So because of that, I need to double check on certain infos and stuff like that. They obviously did mention from the sake of the forms of that closure in the future. So yeah, like I was saying, just like the DSi shop and the Wii shop channel respectively, in certain days throughout, basically though, they were able to actually get rid of certain features. Like, as for this point until likely next 2 months, until May 23rd, on this year specifically, you're no longer going to be able to be using credit cards to add some funds to your account on your eShop, on the Wii U, or the 3DS. So yeah, that seems unfortunate. Anyways, before I get into that though, here we have is probably my least favorite level of the entire game, which appears to be Fiery Cavern. Oh boy, what do I even think about this level? Although, I'll explain more details about that as soon as we're able to actually just dive right into the level itself. So either way though, let's just get this stage over with, so just in case I just want to able to get this, you know, this stage done. Although I will say the music is pretty cool though to listen to, but aside from that though, I seriously hate this level because, well, there are a few times though is the fact that, well, as you probably already know, it's lava themed obviously, and every time you're able to actually get quite a few slip-ups, you're gonna lose a lot of coins, and it might be pretty difficult though if you manage able to go for the Golden Crown run, and because of that though, yeah, this level's so hard, and especially noticeable that, well, I can possibly understand why a lot of people seem to able to have a lot of frustrations with this level back in the day, since during the course of mainly in the mid-2000s or something like that. But either way though, I'm pretty sure this level does have 2 different parts to this level. Like, the first part is pretty obvious that we have to explore for the Fiery Cavern, but until in the second part, then basically though, we'll point it out whenever we're able to get to that specific segment. So, anyways, let's get rid of those enemies before we continue exploring for certain segments worth noting for. So I'll just be very careful of that Lava Kaiser, and then basically though, we'll just get out able to figure this out for ourselves. So anyway, and yeah, that's the forms of the actual no longer using the credit card for the Wii U and 3DS applications for its eShop application. But until on the 29th of August though, also in 2022 as well, they'll be no longer going to be able to be using the Nintendo eShop cards to able to actually add funds to it. So because of that though, every now and then it's going to be strictly to Nintendo Switch. So because of that though, yeah, that's kind of upsetting for those who ever missed out on certain pretty cool stuff. Like, I highly recommend specifically for a few games for its Virtual Console lineup, I highly recommend when it comes to the forms of those games, I would like you recommend to get before the actual closures decide able to get closer to its coming department. Like, I think at this point in time, since we're still on March, so I believe we've only down to 5 months left, so we better have to hurry up, because if you don't make it in the nick of time, you're too late and you are missing out a lot of cool stuff. So, especially noticeable if you decide to go after DLC stuff for the likes of not only New Super Luigi U as in a digital DLC, but also same applies to the forms of Mario Kart 8, the original version of the game for its DLC packs, but also same applies to the forms of Super Smash Bros. For the Nintendo Wii U, and heck, even with the forms of DLC stuff in Hyrule Warriors as well. So, yeah, it's struggling, because either way though, mainly it's because of my nostalgia reasons, and especially noticeable I was having a great time with the forms of trying to purchasing digital stuff, not only for the 3DS, but also the Wii U stuff as well. So, yeah, you probably get the idea about that, so... And, yeah, because, yeah, when it comes to those games themselves, I highly recommend for this service is the fact I highly recommend Super Mario Advance 4, Super Mario Bros. 3, not only because you're able to actually experience the second version of Super Mario Bros. 3 onto its Wii U system, at least technically the third version if you want to count playing the backwards compatible Wii version of Super Mario All-Stars for the Wii, because, well, despite the fact that it's basically the Super Nintendo game, but just usually slap onto the Wii game disc. But also you will be able to actually access to those e-reader levels, like every single one. So yeah, that's actually a pretty cool deal, at least I think some toys has already mentioned about, at least in every sense about a couple of days ago. So because of that though, there's no point to explain about that. And also I highly recommend Metroid Fusion and Metroid Zero Mission, because as far as what I've heard, that Metroid Zero Mission is going to be twice as expensive though, especially noticeable because, well, I honestly have no words to think about it, because, well, either way, it's just the fact the matter is though, it's just the fact that that's as far as I can say about it. So anyways, as you notice, that we actually come across into the second part of this level, and because of that, we're now able to actually able to explore the icy version of this particular level. So because of that, every time you activate the frog timer, and then basically this entire place is almost frozen up. So yeah, that seems like a pretty cool concept, because it's almost like Fire and Ice, because get it? Because that was when Sonic Boom game just managed able to feature Fire and Ice as a mechanic, but either way though, it knows where it stands, so... Anyway though, so yeah, that's pretty much about it for that particular description for it, because even then though, speaking of the forms of the Wii U downloadable stuff, I've basically just managed able to download the last few Virtual Console purchases for my Wii U, so that means the fact that I did manage to got Super Mario Bros. The original, along with Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels, and Super Mario Bros. 2, Super Mario Bros. 2, I should say. So because of that though, I've, you know, managed to get Super Mario Bros. 1, and Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels, and Super Mario Bros. 2, but all three of them on the NES form. Because I've decided able to do the original versions of those Let's Plays, because, well, technically we've already done those games before, but those are from the likes of Super Mario All-Stars version, so because of that though, I just feel like nostalgia kind of days. So, that's the reason why I've decided to get those, and maybe we can do those chronological Let's Plays of those games again, but on its original form, so we can possibly do that. And also I've managed able to actually download Yoshi's Island DS, just to feel like doing a Let's Play of the game at some point, especially if we continue things on with the Yoshi games, because after all we already done 2 of them from my channel, which are, you know, Yoshi's Woolly World and Yoshi's Crafted World. So because of that, I just feel like getting that. And of course, as I promised you guys, I did somehow manage to get myself Star Fox Command for the Nintendo DS, as in the eShop re-release. So because of that though, yeah, just to feel like I was about to be able to prepare for another Let's Play marathon of any sorts, which appears to be the Star Fox marathon. So because of that though, feels like I'm all sorted from here. Well, apart from the fact that I don't think we can probably tackle through Star Fox 64 3D for the 3DS, because it's just the 3DS version of the good old N64 classic game. So because of that though, I just feel like trying to mention that, so... Because originally, I was expecting to try to download 2 of those Nintendo Switch did I say Nintendo Switch? Ah, sorry, I just got my throat's getting a little bit cocked up at the moment, so I do apologize for my commentary. Gets a little bit iffy at points for this points today, so I do apologize. But anyway, that pretty much concludes Fiery Cavern. Thank God, we don't have to touch that level ever again. So let's just move on to the next level, which, kind of think about, is another spooky themed level, which appears to be Hotel Horror. So because of that though, we have to go through a serious amount of rooms in order to progress. So that's why I get the feeling for this level's gimmick. So, in fact, this level does remind me of one of those levels from the likes of Wario Land 2, that basically does the fact that you have to go through a serious amount of rooms in order to progress. So, yeah, it does seem very interesting, all things considered. So, either way though, let's just get this into it. And of course, that's as you notice, there are some, you know, frog blocks that's usually blocking in certain doors. This meaning about the fact that those certain rooms will only be accessed if you somehow manage to able to activate the frog timer. So that's something to keep in mind. So anyway, because I was originally trying to able to get myself 2 Nintendo Switch eShop games exclusive games on the Switch, which there are Kirby Fighters 2, because I was really looking forward to able to play the sequel to Kirby Fighters, but also say applies to Castlevania Advance Collection, which not only contains 3 of the Game Boy Advance trilogy of games, but also Castlevania Dracula X, which appears to be the Super Nintendo version of Castlevania Rondo of Blood, but I somehow need to save that for a later time, because at the moment, I am focusing on the actual worries about the forms of missing out some other stuff, from the likes of the Wii U purchasable downloads and the 3DS purchasable downloads as well. So yeah, I honestly have no words to say, because either way though, I was a bit panicked, because otherwise, if I miss out on those, I'll be too late, and as a result, I'll be very upset, and I need to grab, you know, the tissue box, so just in case if I say farewell to the Wii U and 3DS eShop applications. Well, still on the upside is though is the fact that you can still able to actually access online play, assuming if Nintendo does not mention about the forms of the closure of Nintendo Network, because for the love of God, don't do that, because otherwise I'm just will be a little bit upset about that. Although, again, like I said, because of the support and all that stuff. So, either way though, let's not get of ourselves to this point right now, so... Ah, darn it, I just somehow got my gauge empty, so, whoops. So anyway, let's get into the forms of the good stuff though, since I've already mentioned about a massive rent. Oh, actually, gotta think about it, those little flashing patterns right there, those look familiar to me, doesn't it? This what appears to be, if you dare touch those particular flashy colored panels, I can assure you, these are basically, it's kind of like the teleportating things from the likes of Wario Land 3. Because, how do I know? Because every time you're able to actually touch those things, then basically it transports you back into the beginning portion of the room. So I guess it's very similar to the forms of how it does it in one of those levels in Wario Land 3, which is the Warped Void. So, yeah, it's pretty interesting. So, anyway, so I've already mentioned about the fact that I've pretty much organized for the sake of the forms the upcoming marathon in the future, which appears to be tackling through the rest of the Star Fox series in the future, so I'm pretty much all set and done. And because now I can able to actually finally decide able to do probably is the most tedious Star Fox game ever for the sake of the forms of this entire series, which appears to be by the forms of Star Fox Command, because of its similar structure as the forms of not only I would classify for saying since Shadow the Hedgehog, but also likely other games with multitude of endings to go through, with multitude of routes to take. So yeah, I'm also able to contain it for this point right now, so... Anyway, so let's get to the forms of another good thing that I'd like to mention about, and that is the fact that, yes, I already know for the fact that, well, someone said in the comments already, ever since about a few days ago, that yes, apparently also from out of nowhere, despite the fact that, relatively speaking, is the fact that we've only got about a month left now for the likes of the Sonic the Hedgehog 2 movie is going to be on its way onto its big screen, but out of nowhere, the third film is in development. So because of that, though, I was really unexpected, and also very hyped about it at the same time. And also, in addition to that though, is the fact that the actual, the series of the Sonic, the series is also coming as well. So because of that though, which I think it's usually focuses around Knuckles the Echidna. So because of that though, Knuckles' spin-off show will be able to be coming onto Paramount Plus. So yeah, I think that's going to be due out at some point next year as well. So, at the very least, the next year is going to be pretty hit and miss when it comes to likely of what's going to come up. Like, for instance, with the actual, pretty much a shame, closing shopping services for its, not only for its eShop, applications, like I said, but also with the entire virtual console lineup. So because of that though, that would be pretty sucks, because either way though, that was the only good parts about the forms of those game consoles to begin with. Because otherwise, if we missed out on a lot of things, well, we have to pay for expensive cartridge version, or the expensive, well, it's hard to explain, because I know for the fact it has been a long while since I actually looked upon price guides on certain stuff. So yeah, this feels like almost like the end of the world of certain retro nostalgia kind of feel to it though. So gee, no wonder why that the Wii U itself is pretty much dead at this rate, despite they still managed to get online play. So I guess that's still the case. So, but it's just the fact that it's kind of a shame that, like I said, DLC will no longer become a thing on its Wii U life cycle, along with the 3DS itself too, until in 2023, like I said. So yeah, this is gonna get a massive downhill. So yeah, let me know in the comments below for the question of the day. Are you guys might actually felt a little bit upset to be able to actually see the Wii U and the 3DS eShop applications to be able to go away until next year in 2023, because I'm surely disappointed and upsetting at the same time, because I miss those good old days. So that's all I'm gonna say, because it's just upsetting. So anyways, that was going to explore for this room right here that we've normally couldn't able to explore normally, because obviously we need to able to activate the frog switch. So that way we can able to actually just, well, first of all we need to transform into Zombie Warrior before doing this. That way we're able to get ourselves the final CD throughout the whole entire game. So because of that though, because like I said, this will be the last time we're going to be seeing those treasures like this that contains a CD. So, kudos to that, for my completionist's sake. So anyways, let's double check on the pulse menu. Yep, we've basically gotten everything to actually just manage to able to attain every single items, so we can now able to leave. Yeah, I will say that this level is pretty cool though, especially, although luckily though, that for those of you trying to able to actually try out some more Game Boy Advance games, you can still able to get them from the likes of the emulator. So aside from that though, it is kind of sad to able to see them go for the virtual console lineup, especially noticeable on the NES, Super Nintendo, and also the N64 games library, and heck, even with the forms of TurboGrafx-16 and Game Boy Advance, Nintendo DS, and even the Wii downloadable stuff too. So yeah, that does seems like a bit of a bummer, especially for those of you who have not played Metroid Prime Trilogy on the Wii yet. Well, until in 2023 either way. Unfortunately though, you have to pay the ridiculous amount of money to be able to actually get Metroid Prime Trilogy physically. So yeah, I highly suggest you're able to buy that before it's too late. So just warn you right now. So anyways, let's go through the next boss, which appears to be Catbat. Huh, interesting combination with all these creatures combined. So basically, in order to deal with this particular boss fight is the fact that we need to utilize those waves that basically the Catbat managed to able to send us into. And basically those the fact that every time whenever you're able to hop onto those specific waves, basically those your chance to able to actually just attack the bat itself. And basically though, you have to do a multitude of hits on him, and that's all you really have to do. Although, some people might find this boss fight a bit tough, but honestly, it's not that bad, at least assuming it's way more easier than the forms of how it does it on the third boss fight, in my opinion, because, well, it seems very obvious, because obviously, unlike the third boss that I always have a hard time with, Whilst in here though, all you have to do is basically it's all about just precisioning jumps and stuff like that you have to pull up with. And I believe, if you manage to get poked by these things, I'm pretty sure you might as well become like, I don't know what transformation you might come across into, but I think you'll become like Puffy Wario, I'm pretty sure. So because of that though, you have to watch out for that. And I believe, depending on what difficulty you go for this boss fight, I'm pretty sure the normal modes will be able to give you like 4 minutes, and hard modes will give you 3 minutes, and for super hard mode, you only have to do in this boss fight within 2 minutes, just like the other bosses. So, except for this final boss, which I'll probably talk more about that, and so what if we get into it at some point on this Thursday, so that way we're able to conclude this Let's Play in general. So because of that though, yeah, we're pretty much almost done with Wario Land 4, folks. Before we move on to the next Wario platformer Let's Play, at some point, I don't know, for this year or next year, depending on the forms of some schedules needs to be planned, so... But anyway, I do apologize for that very out of place sniffing sound. That's only mainly because I need to just get myself concentrated for that particular thing itself. And there we go, Catbat has been demolished, and that pretty much concludes the Sapphire Passage within this whole entire episode. So once again, all these treasures are usually now going to be onto that pyramid. And all 4 of those passages are now completed. Clear. Now I think this will be the last time we're going to be seeing that screen because, well, after you completed all 4 of those passages, we were able to actually access to the 5th and the final passage, or technically 6th passage because entry passage counts. So, anyway, so we got the endings of this point right here. So join me next time for more of Let's Play of Wario Land 4. That is the fact that we'll hit on to the finale because we're now going to be heading into, rather, to its golden pyramid. So I wonder what's beyond in this particular pyramid, I wonder. So I'll see you guys on this Thursday. Later, fellas.